Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to Talladega Superspeedway for tonight's JD's Hilltop Salvage 200. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight, as always, is Chris Wright and Brent Jones. Guys, how you doing tonight?
We're looking forward to this one, baby. We're in Dega, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm surprised Brent's up here with us tonight, not racing down here on the racetrack, running Dega here. It's going to be an exciting race, a playoff race, a cut race. It's everything we could want out of this race here.
Absolutely couldn't have said it better myself. Tonight we do have 76 laps around the Talladega Superspeedway. No stages here tonight. It was originally supposed to be 4 sets of tires, but a little error from a local admin has us with unlimited tire sets tonight. Tires don't really play a factor here. So that's not really too big of a deal at all. We're going to take a look at the starting grid here, and in green tonight is the only driver locked into the next round of the playoffs. That is Tyler Foti on the front row with Brandon Ultra, Josh Robbins, Seth Rawls, Gerald Campbell, Dustin Dewar, Dave Carpenter, Scott Crump, Casey Hatch, and Jesse Rasmus, the top 10. Those in yellow are currently in a playoff spot. Those in red are in a playoff spot, but on the outside of the cut, with tonight being the cutoff as the rest of the grid scrolls on by here. We're going to do things a little bit different here tonight. We have all been assigned a driver to follow along with throughout the evening. I'm going to be following along Wyatt Knadel, I believe. Chris Wright has Dustin Dewar, and Brent Jones, I forget who you have, buddy, but
A Leighton
Norgard for Brent Jones. As the pace car is off the racetrack, Tyler Foti going to lead us to green here as we see the starter with the green flag in hand. You can see the Geico restart zone right there, as well as Tyler Foti brings them down to the end of the restart zone. Green flag in the air, and we are underway with the number 40 Blue Egg marketing machine of Tyler Foti leading us here to the green flag.
And Foti's got his teammate Josh Robin right beside him. Or right behind him, excuse me, lined up, working together right from the strop here. Ethan Stanley just got in the session. He was having some power issues.
And he's out of it again, by the way.
Looks like those power issues have continued, as Brent has just said it as it happened there, that he dropped out. Now he's trying to come back. So Ethan Stanley working through some issues tonight. What he's hoping to see is the big one pretty early.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a racetrack where I know we've all had a pretty decent amount of success on these super speedways, as we see a third lane forming already. Jonathan Cutlip, Ethan Burrell, and Garrison Hogan there back around the 24th position. But as I was mentioning, we've all had a fair bit of success
we're wrecking him into one
big
already.
wreck. Here we go, Seth Rawls.
Oh God, it's like, that's.
Oh no, that's everybody, guys.
Oh man.
That was not good. I see Seth Rawls blown up. That's his playoff right there. Jess Story, I see involved. Michael Hossack, Andrew Rucker, Tyler Pop, Andrew Hardcastle, Garrison Hogan, I believe, was involved. That's the 9 of Jay Kaner. Robert Smith was involved. Johnny Thomas.
I hate to interrupt you, but you'd be better just looking at turn where the Millbank turn 3 is. You can see everyone that's not still rolling at this point.
John Cutlip calls it a night.
Gerald Campbell got some damage. Scott Crump got some damage. The 25 is pretty much done. The 71, the 14, I believe both Adams brothers are in this wreck at some.
I'm going to back this up here, guys. This is a big one. There's a lot to digest in this incident. It's taken me all the way back. I'm pretty sure we're actually going to tack onto the tail of this incident here. We're watching back. Do you guys know where exactly this wreck started?
Lap 2, turn 1. Gerald Campbell gets into the back of the 25. When the 25
there it is. We're going to back this up a little further. There it is. So it almost looks actually like a checkup of the 45 leading the outside lane. The 25 of Seth Rawls gets a little unsettled there. big wreck. Seth Rawls absolutely destroyed. Everyone piles in. I see John Cutlip there, Casey Hatch in there. You mentioned the Adams brothers. Let's see if we can take a look at Jacob Adams in this wreck.
Yeah, our playoff guys involved were Jacob Adams, Dave Carpenter, Tooker is
Jake
involved.
actually in a new paint scheme tonight, so that's why I didn't notice him right away.
You know,
wow.
Look at that. That reminds
Matthew Weeks is involved.
Yeah.
Guys, this is a big deal as we had multiple playoff guys involved in that.
Yep.
Ethan Stanley, John Cutlip, Josh Adams, some of the biggest impacted there. Seth Rawls we saw heavily impacted. Michael Goodman there, Garrison Hogan, Dave Carpenter. We saw Jacob Adams get a little piece of that as well. Wow.
This reminds me of the 2005 Aaron's 312. They went really early, and that wreck almost looked like an exact copycat. Actually,
Racing incident there as we see Jess Story coming back to pit road. What a start to this event, guys. Nothing that we... Obviously, we expect a big one here, being Talladega, but never this early.
I hate when I say something and it happens. I was just talking about how Ethan Stanley needed a big wreck pretty early and a lot of championship guys to have trouble because of his issues here and getting into the session and falling out and getting back in. Yeah, he's got this yellow, and it's taken out a bunch of championship contenders.
Guys, I'm seeing like 9-10 cars maybe that didn't have a piece of that. We only have 12 cars on the racetrack right now. Everybody else on pit road. This is insane. We have Tyler Foti on track, Brandon Ultra, Josh Robin, Dustin Dewar, Scott Crump, Jesse Rasmus. There's Garrison Hogan, Tyler Pop. I believe he was actually involved as well. Harrison Talon was back there around the incident, may have gotten a slight piece. Joe Francis there. I don't believe he was involved. Michael Klein with a clean car as of right now. Jacob Adams just snuck through. I believe he may have gotten a small piece of... Oh, he... a bit bigger than a small piece right there. That nose not looking too friendly right now.
And his cooling.
Robert Smith damaged.
I spoke to both Adams brothers, and Jake has about 25 seconds. Josh is sitting at about 5 minutes.
This is not good, guys. These are a bunch of our playoff guys involved here. Ethan Reisner on track here tonight. He could get a good finish for a race that he didn't even think he'd be part of. Mike Goodman,
and we
John
are now
Thomas.
joined here too, as well by Nick Massey, who typically is doing some officiating, but tonight with the way things have fallen and the way the lobby was set up, he has an open night here, so he's joining us. Nick, what do you think about what you just saw here?
Yeah, pretty wild. That was most of the field right there on lap 2.
That was definitely big, Nick. What did you see go wrong out there?
Yeah, it was like the who was it up there in second on the outside gave a
Seth Rawls, I do believe.
Gave an offsetter bump to the 45, and there's a little bit of a checkup, and being at the front of the field, a lot of those guys can't check up in time, so it got tagged by 31, and it was just on from there.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy race. It set the tone here as we saw there with what just happened. Couldn't have fell into Ethan Stanley's lap any better, really, over this situation that's happened, and it's bad for a lot of guys, but it's going to give new life to Ethan Stanley. Of course, we got some playoff guys out front, like who this really benefits as well. Not just Ethan Stanley, but you got Josh Robin up there in third. You've got Garrison Hogan is looking pretty clean. Of course, Foti is okay. Foti's locked in as well. So it is going to be very interesting.
So Chad says he's not seeing the broadcast here.
The only thing I see live on my end.
All right, we are now live to more of you, as for some reason this video was unlisted. So welcome back. We just had the big one here. Many of our chase guys involved, as Tyler Foti and Josh Robin leading the way here. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me in the booth tonight, Chris Wright, as well as Brent Jones and Nick Massey, our race controller. Guys, what have we seen so far out here?
Just happened there.
Yeah, we have this playoff race. We're only 7 laps in, but we had a big wreck that took out some of our playoff guys. Jonathan Cutlip is out. Seth Rawls is out. Josh Adams is a lap down. He was involved. We had a bunch of guys who were involved in some way, shape, or form in this wreck. As now we are working lap 7 here, side by side for the lead, with Tyler Foti, Scott Crump down into turn 3. Looks like they're coming around to take the green still under the caution, but they are at speed, running 190 miles an hour, double wide all the way back right now.
Yeah, 2x2 all the way through the field here up until we get to those damaged cars. Surprisingly, there's a lot more guys out here still than I anticipated after such a big wreck.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys got lucky with how they wrecked. Got little damage, minimal damage. I mean, some guys got a ton of damage, like I talked about with Seth Rawls, and you can look here at the back of this pack, and a lot of guys are really struggling hanging on to the draft. So
yeah, you're seeing damage on the machines of Andrew Rucker, Ty McIntosh there. We see Josh Adams way back. You had mentioned, Chris, that he had about 5 minutes of damage. That at a short track is not so bad, but at a super speedway, you're in trouble.
yeah, what he's hoping for is another quick wreck here, and he should be able to get all of his damage fixed, because yeah, it's bad to have that much damage, but at a place like this, you can get it all fixed pretty quick. So
One guy we see here trying to work his way up through the middle there, Andrew Rucker, looking 3 wide on the 12 machine. That's a Leighton Norgard with Michael Klein up on the outside. These guys have to be careful now. We've already had a big incident so far in this race. You definitely don't want another one here so early. Just take everyone out, not really have a field to battle with at the end of the night. We see Trey Holmes and Ethan Burrell there working the high side with help from Michael Klein. Klein looking for an opportunity to work his way to the front with help from the Pro Edge and fueled up cars there just ahead of him. Andrew Rucker trying to do what he can to stay competitive at this point with the damage that's on his machine. And you see the 92 of Ethan Stanley there, currently a lap down, trying to get his lap back so he can get back on the lead lap and compete with these guys as well.
Like I said,
And you're talking about Andrew Rucker. That's a lap car. He's trying to get to the front, and I guess get it back the hard way.
And it's very well possible at a racetrack like this. Well, it's possible at many racetracks, but especially at a super speedway like this, it's very possible to get back up there and at least temporarily get your lap back. We see Joe Francis falling back a little bit there on the bottom.
Oh,
Trying
we're
to
going
find Joe.
tight 3 wide with nobody on the bottom. Yeah, I'm thinking if I'm Andrew Rucker, I'm not doing this right here.
yeah, that's not smart at all. Like I said, it's too early in the race. to
If
make
you
moves
get
like
any
that.
kind of incident contact, you'll lose the lucky dog. You know, and so there's really no reason for him to be up in the pack this way and being the guy that's making all these moves like this. It's not going to end well for you if you keep doing it, but at the same time, Ethan Stanley's not far behind him, so I understand wanting to race, but man, I wouldn't be going 3 and 4 wide if I'm a lap car.
100%. You also have to be smart about it as well, considering, he does have the rear end and front end damage on that number 64 machine, more rear than front, but his car will not line up properly for a good push, and that can really lead to some potential for further issues out there on the racetrack. We see Tyler Pop up on the high side back here, falling back. We have a car on the apron. I believe that to be Ethan Reisner in the 86 machine. Looks like he's got number 13 on board of that pristine auction. I do apologize. 13? Yeah, number 13 on that car. He usually doesn't race with us, but 2 number 13s out there.
We gave him the good motor tonight.
Brett Jones handing out motors apparently this evening, trying to get guys out there in the field. As we see at the front of the field, Tyler Foti, Scott Crump side by side. There's Josh Robin, Brandon Ultra, row number 2, Dustin Dewar, Garrison Hogan there. Here comes Andrew Rucker, guys. 3 wide on the high side.
Yep, he's just going to keep sending it, apparently. Very interesting way to go about trying to get your lap back, but we'll see what happens. I don't like being in the third lane with just one other guy. As right now, he's side by side. They're 3 wide, and that's the 92 and the 64, both vying for the Lucky Dog.
I'll say that again. Like Stanley's having his problems before the start of this race. There's for every victim of these wrecks, there's a guy who's getting the blessing in the skies, and that may have been it for the 92 there.
Seeing Jonathan Cutlip leaving pit road after 13 minutes or so down there. I do believe, yeah, this will be the end of his race. He's already 10 laps down, so the 6-lap rule, of course, in effect on the super speedways.
And I want to give a shout out here to our series sponsor here, Mark Rebilas and Rebilas Photography. I saw on Twitter this weekend that he was at the 4 Wide Nationals, so I am sure he had a great time at that NHRA event and whatnot. I think that that'd be something cool and spectacular to go see. I've never seen the 4 Wide drags, but I have went and seen them, at the old 2 Wide drags, over here in Ohio. So I think that'd be pretty cool to see 4 guys taking off at the same time and running 330, 350, whatever they get up to.
Yeah, I know another league that Mark takes part in. They do have Ron Capps that participates over there, and he had a lot of guys out from that league. A few of them got to sit in his dragster, which was pretty darn cool seeing those pictures, and I'm sure those guys, for them, it's a memory that's going to last a lifetime for sure. Ron Capps, of course, has taken part in some elite events as well, so shout out to Ron Capps over there.
I stand corrected. I said Mark wasn't here tonight. He is here.
Yeah,
racing.
Mark
I
is currently running 16th right now.
Yeah,
they're coming up on a lap car here right now.
Okay,
That is Josh Adams on the inside, guys, and we're coming up on another lap car just ahead.
And there's Mark with the great save on the apron.
I was going to say, we gave Mark the TRD engine. We gave Ethan the good engine.
Yeah, Brent known to feed guys engines back here. Like he's the darn cookie monster handing out engines. As we see Foti and Crump up front once again. These guys are always together, man. No matter what race style we're doing, if we're doing a road course, we're doing a street course, doing a dirt track, a short track, intermediate, super, Tyler Foti and Scott Crump are always going to be near each other. And if Chad Frankenfield's in the field, usually he'd be up there with them as well. As just kind of looking through the field, guys, not too many surprises, obviously, with there being a big one early on. But Garrison Hogan up 30 spots. You can't really take too much the positions gained into account here just because it is a super speedway. But still, shout out to these guys for making it through that wreck because that was right where they were. I believe we're coming up on another lapped car here in just a moment. Michael Hosick doing a nice job staying down out of the way as Brent Jones has a bit of a moment there up in the booth. I think he got 3 wide and loose with himself.
Yeah, they were kind of tangling up for a moment around outside the top 10 there, trying to get when they're approaching that lap car, but we're good here.
I think the battle we have to keep an eye on here is the battle for the Lucky Dog. At this point, Ethan Stanley currently a couple of car lengths ahead of Andrew Rucker on the apron here. Stanley running up behind Harrison Talon in the number 51 DoorDash machine. Here comes Andrew Rucker to the back bumper of the Ethan Stanley machine. Now he looks to the outside. Move Andrew Rucker up into the Lucky Dog position. This is going to get swapped a bunch of times here. And, just looking further ahead in the race, kind of foreshadowing here, guys. What do we expect when it comes to pit stops tonight? Do we think that these guys are going to try to make it on maybe 2 stops, or are we looking more 3 stops out here?
I'm going to guess pretty much everybody involved in that wreck, whether they were involved in or not, topped off in that yellow. So I think this could easily become a 1 or 2 stop race, depending on the situation from here on out.
So
I'm thinking they can run about 40 laps or so on fuel, so we're only probably looking at one pit stop here if it stays green.
So one pit stop if we do stay green. Going to be very interesting to see how that progresses throughout the night here tonight. And of course, another race we're watching throughout the race tonight.
Rucker shooting the middle 3 wide once again, down into 3.
Let's take a look at Andrew Rucker here. And as we talk about Andrew Rucker, of course, this is the cutoff for round number 1 of the 2023 Rebilas Photography Grand National Series playoffs. Everybody that is listed in green, so Tyler Foti is locked into round number 2. Everyone else in yellow entered tonight in a safe position, and everyone else in red was on the outside of that cut line looking in. So definitely some shakeups in there throughout the opening portions of tonight's race. David Tooker, Ethan Stanley, of course, as well as Seth Rawls, Josh Adams, John Cutlip, all of those guys not having the event that they would have wanted tonight. Michael Goodman, Jake Adams, Matthew Weeks, Garrison Hogan, Scott Crump, all taking advantage here so far. As speaking of Jacob Adams, we do look back at him currently running in the 15th position. He is dealing with some damage on the nose of that car, but it looks like he has just enough pace to keep up with the field here, which definitely does help. He has some help from Michael Goodman there. Just ahead of him is his new teammate, Jess Story, in the number 29, so a little bit of additional help there tonight as we do try to wrap up round number 1.
You got a new driver there in the 29? You guys made a great hire this week?
Yeah, we picked up Jess Story in the 29. He's going to run some truck and Xfinity or Grand National races with us, and hopefully part-time in the Cup Series throughout the next season or 2. So that's something.
Yeah, I want to hammer this point home here. Jake Adams has said that his car is fine. He is just hanging out. He sees the craziness. He doesn't want to get wrecked again. But you made an announcement last week when we went off the air. I thought you hired a driver last week.
Yeah, I did, and then Tyler Foti went and did what Tyler Foti does best, and decided to mess that up, steal the driver, and typical Lake Norman stuff there. But
Wow.
Tyler Foti, Josh Robin leading the way here for Lake Norman, with Scott Crump, Garrison Hogan, Brandon Ultra, the top 5. Harrison Talon there in 6, Dustin Dewar, Johnny Thomas, Matthew Weeks, and the aforementioned Jess Story there inside the top 10 as we see Trey Holmes, Ethan Burrell, and I do believe that to be Andrew Hardcastle working their way 3 wide up on the high side. Yes, that is the 22 of Hardcastle. Doing a nice job there for Abbott Motorsports here tonight. One of, I believe, 2 Abbott Motorsports entries alongside Brent Jones's driver here tonight, Leighton Norgard.
Indeed, so he's having a strong run. He avoided that big one earlier. Got a very little piece of He's up to 8, still hanging around 18th. Probably just laying back right now like Jacob.
Yeah, obviously we're coming up on about a third of the way through tonight's event, about 4 laps or so away from that point. One guy that's kind of caught my eye up here inside the top 10 now, that is Michael Klein in the number 09 machine, announced online this week that looking to do a couple ARCA races later this season in the real world. So if you are looking to support an up-and-coming racer, be sure to check out Michael Klein over on social media channels. He's looking for some partners to try to make that happen. So reach out to Michael Klein, see if you can put a deal together, and we hope to see you out on the ARCA track with him.
I got a crisp $5 bill if he'll let me spot.
We got a fresh business venture, T-Cert retirement, semi-retirement planning and advisory. Will be more up sponsoring.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he probably won't let you spot for him for a $5 bill. That certainly doesn't sound like a great idea.
Oh, it'll be a great time. But one guy I'm gonna talk about, and as I'm gonna talk about him, it looks like he's getting shuffled by Andrew Rucker there. But the 45 car, as Brandon Ultra, has been up at the front the whole time. Stayed up at the front. We saw him kind of be one of the cars that kind of was one of the 3 trigger cars for that initial big wreck, and he has stayed up here as the first or second car in the outside line ever since.
He also won Daytona last season, so he was a threat out here still, despite some of that damage.
Yeah, Brandon Ultra's been very consistent when it comes to the super speedways. typically runs fairly well. He's one of those guys that you know what he's going to do, which is all you can really ask for when it comes to super speedway racing, is somebody that you know is not going to do anything erratic out on the racetrack, because last thing you want to have to deal with is somebody that can't choose a lane or can't hold their line, as well as, you know, we're going to see that at some points in this race tonight. We're going to see it next week when the Cup Series goes to Talladega. It's just kind of the way this racing goes sometimes, but if you can be predictable, it definitely does help. As we see Ethan Stanley jump into the high side there behind Brandon Ultra and Scott Crump, there is no help up on the high side right now, aside from that Ultra machine. On the inside, Tyler Foti definitely has more help with Josh Robin, Garrison Hogan, Harrison Talon there. But now the high side forming back up as you see Johnny Thomas, Andrew Rucker, and Dustin Dewar joining the fight up on that high side. So nice to see multiple lanes here tonight as Trey Holmes, Ethan Burrell, and Andrew Hardcastle keep looking on the high side back there. We'll see if it ends up working for them.
If Ethan would jump up in front of Rucker to put that guy behind him instead of beside him. But we are catching a group of 2 lap cars here. And then after those 2 lap cars, there's a group of 3 lap cars.
This is where it might get interesting, especially with the Trey Holmes, Ethan Burrell, and Andrew Hardcastle machines looking 3 wide on the field here. This will push us forward, especially as we catch these guys closer to the corner. They don't necessarily have the option to go on the apron without completely... Oh, they were looking too wide right there. That's a little scary. I believe that to be, Wyatt Cadle, David Tooker.
Wyatt and Tooker, yeah.
Wyatt's car doesn't look overly bad. They jump down to the apron there as Foti and the field do go on by. We're going to keep an eye on David Tooker and Wyatt Cadle here as they rejoin the field, able to jump back up. Actually, not too bad for them. Forces a move by Jesse Rasmus and Andrew Hardcastle up to the high side here. Jess Story in the middle, but all of the drivers able to get by there as Johnny Thomas now leading the charge on that high lane. That's just back in the 7th position. So Trey Holmes able to gain a bunch of spots there with Ethan Burrell and now Johnny Thomas. We'll see if anyone jumps up ahead of them there. Maybe Andrew Rucker. Actually, Johnny Thomas ditches the high lane. So now
I think Johnny sees what they're catching here. There's a group of 3 cars now that they're coming up on.
See, I do, yeah, that's Mark Rebilas. Not sure who else
Mark's
is
out in
with
front
him.
of it, right? Mark lost the draft when he got sideways, and he has been able to stay way out in front of
This is Robert Smith, Michael Hosick, and Joshua Adams here. We'll keep an eye on the Josh Adams machine. He's in the middle of this trifecta of cars here as Tyler Foti and co. are going to go on by. I believe they're going to catch them in a fairly good spot. That is Robert Smith that jumps all the way to the apron here.
Oh, and this is
contact
not
right
be
there.
ideal.
They're 4 wide. Michael Klein, Andrew
They're
Rucker.
falling back on the inside, and Mark just went to the outside by the wall.
Wow.
Somehow, nothing bad happened.
So far. And now it comes to everyone else to try to get back in line, which is usually where things can go a little awry here as everyone does get back in line. I think that high line might have a little bit more than the inside line right now, just with Ethan Stanley going to the high side again.
Oh, is he on the top of 3 here?
He is on the top of 3 with a little bit of draft from Andrew Rucker. Rucker's going to get back in line here. So Ethan Stanley alone up on the high side, no help. He is battling Rucker for the lucky dog position. So that's going to be something to monitor as the day goes on here. Just an update for those of you keeping score at home. Michael Hosick and Josh Adams both 3 laps down. So halfway to their 6th lap retirement here in the Talladega, sorry, not Daytona. That is a super speedway rule here in the Elite Racing League. And one thing to point out, the top 4 right now has drivers in 4 different scenarios. Foti locked in, Crump currently in, Josh Robin currently out, and then we had Brandon Ultra, who was not a playoff driver at all. So very interesting to see those guys all mingling together here. Now Ethan Stanley has some help. I believe that to be Matthew Weeks up on the high side there, trying to help Ethan Stanley Seth Rawls did just leave pit road there. He's probably going to be quickly sent back down by Nick Massey here. I know Nick Massey very limited in his powers here tonight, but see what he can do to try to take control here. Ethan Stanley working the high side, nearly makes contact with Andrew Rucker. This is going to get tight here, guys. As you know, these guys are going to race hard.
If Seth makes one lap, he's going to pick up spots, so I don't think they're going to like this.
I'd like to also clarify, 32nd back is down is out of the race. Robert Smith has also left the race, so that would technically include him as well.
Yeah, lots of guys out of the race so far. We're going to keep an eye here on Ethan Stanley. Of course, lots of battles throughout the field here, but the real battle is that battle for the lucky dog at this point. You know we're going to end up with another caution at some point. Especially, actually, I'm seeing Brandon Ultra's car wiggling quite a bit there behind Scott Crump. I don't know if Crump's maybe stepping out a little bit, or if the air from Rucker's nose is getting up and under the rear end of Brandon Ultra and starting to make him aerodynamically unbalanced at this point. That's something to keep an eye on as well. Here comes Ethan Stanley again, pulling a bit of draft from the Brandon Ultra machine. Rucker, I think, is looking 4 wide here, guys. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Oh, there it is.
Matthew Weeks involved, Brandon Ultra, Michael Klein, Jess Story involved heavily. Andrew, oh my gosh. Jess Story just went up and over. There's Trey Holmes involved, White Canado, David Tooker. That is Jess Story blown up on the inside. Somebody came in and absolutely whacked that. Oh no, I think Jacob Adams was involved in that wreck as well. Mike Goodman. Guys, this is a lot of our championship drivers again involved in this one. Let's watch Andrew Rucker here from our blimp view. Forces 4 wide between Garrison Hogan and Brandon Ultra. No room there to do that. Gets into Brandon Ultra. Unfortunately, kickstarts a large incident here. I'm going to watch Jess Story get involved here because he does go up and over. Gets into the side of Michael Klein. Ends up sliding up the racetrack here. Gets on his side. That's Jesse Rasmus who gets a piece. Jacob Adams does get involved. I'm going to rewind here and see his involvement of this incident. I don't know that he actually got a big piece in this. He does get tagged in the door. Oh, that's heavy.
Yeah, that's...
Chris, you typically do have some sort of an inside connection with the Adams brothers, so if you can get us an update on Jacob Adams there at some point, that would be greatly appreciated, because the nose of that car is definitely
I don't need to talk to Jake
point.
to tell you that his shot to win is over.
Yeah, that's pretty hard damage. These cars, we're not even halfway, and they're all torn to pieces.
Yeah, as we see a lot of guys going to come down pit road here. Unfortunate for many of our playoff drivers at this point. A lot of them really just taken out of contention. Unfortunate positioning on the racetrack. Look at all the modifieds we have coming down pit road here, guys. I think I count 4 or 5 entering pit road right now with no nose on the machine. Dustin Dewar, no hood on that car. A lot of guys with rear end damage or front end damage. So very, very unfortunate here, as we'll monitor a little bit closer to the end of pit road. Scott Crump with a nice stop here. He does win the race off pit road ahead of Tyler Foti. Looks like Josh, Robin, Harrison Dowell, and Garrison Hogan, the rest of the cars that are actually leaving pit road at this point, as everyone else is dealing with some sort of damage on their machine. Guys, we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break here. 44 laps remaining in the JD's Hilltop Salvage 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here, the JD's Hilltop Salvage 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. We might need to give a call up to James Doerr and Goodrich for some scrap metal help here. As you know, folks, James Doerr is Goodrich's scrap metal authority with over 50 years of experience in an ever-changing industry. JD is the guy you want to call to get rid of your old junk. From washing machines that no longer work to decommissioned Boeing 747s, as well as a bunch of Talladega race cars set on top of the beautiful Goodrich Hill, JD's Hilltop Salvage is your go-to place, with no job being too big or too small. Also need to shout out, of course, TA Services and iRacing.com. Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. And Worldwide Technology Raceway, your home for all things motorsports, with a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And guys, also a shout out, of course, to Mark Rebilas of Rebilas Photography. Any type of photography you need, give a shout out to Mark, give him a call, and let him know Elite Racing Network sent you. But I'm going to send it back to Brent and Chris here. Guys, what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far as we're coming to the green here after caution number 2, and we've lost about half of our race field?
Well, have we, though? Because the 25's back out here. He's been asked to park twice, and he's continued to race. So, I mean, they're trying to come back out.
They're trying to come back out,
I don't know the penalty, though, for this. Seth might be really hurting himself by continuing to race.
Yeah.
Realistically, disobeying the 6-lap rule will likely lead to disqualification from the race and last place points. So anything that he had gained throughout the race will likely be thrown away here as the green flag's back in the air for Scott Crump. Tyler Foti on the outside there. Row number 2, we find Josh Robin and Harrison Talon as we see Andrew Hardcastle down on the apron as well. I do believe that's Michael Klein falling to the rear of the field as well. Yes, it is. This is sad to see, guys, because those guys were having fairly decent runs in the opening portion of today's race, and now their chances are basically non-existent here as David Tooker is heavily damaged. Seth Rawls has just called it a night there, or he may have.
Reports they have now following black flag Seth, by the way.
So I'm not sure if we ended up with the race controller Nick Massey here after a while, but now of course we are seeing guys obeying orders, so that's good to see. But
yeah, as soon as people got some admin privileges there, it came into getting it back in line there. That 25 was pulled over immediately. So we'll see if there's anything other than just him getting last place points for tonight. We'll see what happens there, because he did ignore being told, a couple times there. So I'm not sure how that'll play out this week, but we will find out, and we will know by this time next week.
So I definitely do want to just point out, guys, that we have heard from multiple drivers very upset with the 64 machine of Andrew Rucker. You know, I've received a couple messages. I'm not going to read word for word, but guys not too pleased with how the lap cars just raced the field there, leading to that rather large wreck. It's really unfortunate that that did happen. Of course, I understand Andrew Rucker and Ethan Stanley racing for a lucky dog. I'd do the same thing, but it's kind of unfortunate seeing a 4 wide go wrong there in the early portions of the race today. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who advances at this point with so many guys heavily damaged that had chase aspirations here. I'm surprised to see so many still out on the racetrack. We've lost a few, of course.
Well, we're really close to losing about 5 or 6 more here.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys right at the 5 lap mark, and the 6 lap mark is when you are asked to park.
That's exactly it, Chris. And there's guys out here that, you know, one little bump that is a bit too hard
And it's over with.
could potentially lead to a blown engine as well. I know we have some heavy damage. Nice to see Josh working with his brother Jake here, the Adams brothers, trying to keep Jake in a spot to potentially advance in the playoffs here. I know that's
Josh got most
hard.
of his damage fixed, so a lot of his speed is back. So yeah,
Josh is looking a lot quicker.
He is trying to keep Jake with the draft right now.
Absolutely, you can see it here that Jake is a lot quicker, or Josh is a lot quicker than he was earlier, and they're not actually falling too far off of the field ahead of them. So that's a good thing as well, and the more cautions they get, the more they can get repaired on their vehicles. You're going to see every caution that we get. A lot of guys are going to spend a lot of time on pit road getting their car fixed up to see if they can make a run a little bit later in the event. Anything can still happen. You know, you could have somebody like a David Tooker that's a lap down, Wyatt Canado a lap down. They could still win this race. Nobody, well, obviously some people are out of it, but nobody that's still on the racetrack right now within a lap or two is totally out of the race. As we see Tyler Pop falling back through the middle here. Here comes Ethan Burrell with Ethan Stanley on the high side. Of course, Ethan Stanley did get the lucky dog under the latest caution, as Andrew Rucker kind of was the unlucky dog there. So we see Ethan Burrell working his way on the high side. Harrison Talon not necessarily hooked up too well with Tyler Foti. So Foti going to fall back a little bit, as Josh Robin doing a great job pushing the Scott Crump machine. Guys, obviously we all have experience on these super speedways. What would your strategy be at this point in the race, seeing that we've had a couple big ones so far? Would you be going right to the front and wanting to stay ahead of it? Or are you trying to stay a little bit off of the field to give yourself an opportunity to avoid the wreck if it happens?
I will tell you straight up, after doing this for 4 years, there's no such thing as a strategy. Where especially with this many cars left or little, you just go for it at this point. Try to get that win, try to get that good finish. If you can't, try to survive. You know, you just got to do what you got to do at this point.
For me, my strategy at these places depends on where I'm running. If I'm running at the front, I'll try to stay there. And when I say the front, I mean the first 3 or 4, you know, and if I feel comfortable with who is up there, you try to stay there. But if you're not at the front, then you go to the back. You do not want to be in that 10th well, really even like 6th on back to 15th or 20th. You do not want to be in the middle.
Yeah, so my strategy as well is fairly similar to what Chris just said. It's very situational, and depending on where you are as well. With this being a playoff cutoff race, it would also depend where I am in points at the time. If I'm on the outside looking in, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep my car in one piece and have an opportunity towards the end of the race. So if that means falling about a half second off of the main field just to be able to keep the draft but not be 100% in it and have an opportunity to fully avoid an incident as it develops, then I will do that. Otherwise, I'm going to try to be at the front so I can stay ahead of any sort of wrecks and really just kind of control my own destiny up there. But we're seeing 3 wide here. Tyler Pop on the outside with help from Ethan Burrell and Ethan Stanley. So for now, we're going to call him Ethan Pop, as we have our 3 Ethans on the high side. Tyler Foti in the middle with help from Harrison Talon, and I do believe that to be...
hey, and do you remember earlier when I said if Rucker being up there? Rucker being up there, if he gets into the wreck or causes the wreck, he loses that lucky dog.
Absolutely.
So he lost the lucky dog, destroyed a race car by being aggressive and being up there, and so that let Ethan Stanley get the lucky dog. So now he is a lead lap car up here in this pack at this point.
And
Yeah,
again,
and Ethan Stanley doing a nice job too.
And like I said earlier, for every misfortune, there's someone who benefits from it, and Ethan Stanley's misfortunes from in the race have.
And Foti pushes Josh Robin to the lead here. And they both drop down to the bottom side. Josh Robin needs to win this race to advance, I believe. I'm not sure if he can point his way in. Not sure if that scenario is out there and in play for Josh Robin, but right now he has put this 8 machine out front.
So for Josh Robin, I'm just taking a look here. Just give me one moment and I'll have an update on his situation. He is on the outside. Of course, he can, I do believe, point in to the next round. But let me just confirm here as you guys call the action here for a moment.
Yes, side by side as Scott Crump is pulled out now to get the push from, is that Garrison out there? It's Harrison. Harrison's out there pushing Scott Crump.
One of the Harrisons, of course. Garrison or Harrison. Josh Robin
I'm not
entered...
used to seeing Harrison in these races after lap 10 or 12. He's usually wrecked out with these things pretty early, so it's good to see.
I'm going to correct you for a second, Chris. Over the last couple of months, well, couple weeks actually, Harrison's only really joined the races after about 10 laps as he joins the server but never actually gets on the racetrack until later. So interesting seeing him actually being out here in one of the lead positions, just about to be scored the leader. But update on Josh Robin, he entered tonight 37 points out of playoff of one of the transfer spots. So more or less Josh Robin does have to win the race tonight. Obviously, potentially, actually, with the field size, the field size and potential bonus points, Josh Robin would have to be the victor tonight to advance. Anything can happen. Still, of course, he's run strong all night long so far, and he may have a good opportunity to do so. And I want to give a shout out as well here, Jesse Rasmus there in the 3rd position currently. That's the 70 you see on the outside of Josh Robin, and Scott Crump there doing a nice job pushing Harrison Talon here, trying to help that 51 work his way up towards the front of the field. So shout out to Jesse. Great job so far. I hope I'm not jinxing you because I really do like Jesse Rasmus. He does a nice job. He's usually helping his son Jaden in the truck series as well. So pretty cool to see them have an opportunity to do this together. Is Harrison Talon going to lead a lap here at Talladega Superspeedway?
And
yes, he will. With help from Jesse Rasmus.
Look at Harry go.
Brent Jones sounds like a popper right there. As just an update, Jake Adams, Josh Adams have lost the field here, but they do remain. Jake remains on the lead lap here at this point in the race, looking for an opportunity, maybe with another caution, get some further damage fixed on that car, hopefully pop a nose on that thing, and have an opportunity to be a little bit more competitive at this point in the race. We're back to what we saw with Andrew Rucker here as we see David Tooker now coming up to the rear of Harrison Talon and Andrew Rucker and Ethan Stanley, I should say. Hopefully doesn't end the same way as Andrew Rucker did, but David Tooker a lap down here. The first car one lap down and does find himself up in that lead pack here with Johnny
but I don't
Thomas.
think he's making the aggressive moves that Rucker was. I think he's just kind of stayed in line and has found his way there. We have 100%. Seen here the last 10 laps or so, this outside line keeps hopping the bottom.
I just don't think they have enough help up there to make it happen. All it's going to take here is someone like a David Tooker or a Harrison Talon to hang the rear end out just a little bit to give these guys something to pull off of and work their way up. Also, I want to ask right now, if you're Harrison Talon in the middle and you see that you're clear of that bottom lane, are you jumping to the bottom or are you sticking with these guys in the middle?
That's why they've been able to make all these passes on the top, is because they keep jumping. If he sits up there and gets Tooker hot, then that's going to kill the line. So yeah, and I think if you're David Tooker, you're telling him, drop, 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 so I can get pushed by you, and you just keep hopping each other. Because how many laps ago was it that we saw the 40 push the 8 to the lead, and they've stayed in line on the bottom, and they got jumped by the 90, they got jumped by the 70.
Tyler Pop, Ethan Burrell, clear that middle lane that was led by Harrison Talon. Now Harrison Talon nearly hooks the 37 of Ethan Burrell. He has no help at this point. A little bit of a gap back to David Tooker. Tooker's now going to have to work his way back up. Ethan Stanley falling back on the high side with no assistance up there. Absolutely nobody. I would potentially expect somebody like a Wyatt Canado or a Mark Rebilas to try to hop up there with Ethan Stanley. Both of those guys a lap down at this point. So if they can race up and get ahead of David Tooker, this is an opportunity for them to potentially get the lucky dog position should we have another caution, which it is Talladega. Chances are we're going to have another one here. And it very well maybe everyone else that's currently on the racetrack. But I'd be thinking big picture at this point if I'm those guys and start thinking about that lucky dog spot as well.
Indeed so.
And Ethan's got to be thinking, he was in that very top lane. They were all moving forward, right? And then his whole lane went to the bottom or the middle, and he was up there all by himself. He was like, "Oh man." Yeah,
Ethan Stanley fell from potentially third on the racetrack all the way back to now battling with a Leighton Norgard for the 11th position. So big drop. It looks like he fell a lot further, but that's because we have a fair bit of lap cars mixed into the grouping up here. But I really wonder what would have happened had Harrison Talon dropped to the bottom here, as now he's having to work by himself with a fair gap still back to David Tooker. Here comes Wyatt Canado and Mark Rebilas to the back of David Tooker here, so our lap cars working together.
Yeah, I guess they figure why race each other for the lucky dog. Let's all line up and see if we can just get out in front of the leader.
Yeah.
Those little cars left. I don't blame them.
I've had races myself in another league where typically in a super speedway, I'm pretty strong and I'm able to lead lines or push. And I had races once where the last 40 laps of the event, the guy that eventually won the race just left me in front of him on the bottom lane, just pushing me the whole time. And I was able to help him lead the race and win the race. So you have to see if you're a trusted lap car. These guys trust you and let you hang out up front. Otherwise, they're just going to shuffle you to the back and you're not going to be heard of for quite a while. As Harrison Talon throws a little bit of a block there. I don't know that he meant to block the David Tooker machine, but he does slide up in front of that 19, the 84 of Wyatt Canado there, as well as Mark Rebilas. Ethan Stanley going to be looking for an opportunity to work his way back up to the front. As you see the mobster Matthew Weeks on the bottom, that's a nickname given by Brent Jones last week, that number 11 machine.
Yeah, the paint scheme looks like a mob car.
He absolutely loved that, Brent Jones. We had a discussion about it the other day. He's like, Matthew Weeks and his accent there, but he was quite excited that you thought he was a mobster. So shout out to Matthew Weeks there on the bottom. Tyler Pop doing a nice job, as well as Ethan Burrell, Harrison Talon, Jesse Rasmus up here inside the top four. Scott Crump there in fifth. As you see, again, that's David Tooker and Mark Rebilas, a couple lap cars just behind Harrison Talon. And I see why Canado's worked his way to the bottom. Maybe he has more faith in that bottom lane than he does in that top lane at this point to help him get the lucky dog. So a little bit of strategy amongst our lap cars at this point. And we're going to look a little bit further back, see what's going on. Garrison Hogan hanging on to the back behind Tyler Foti. Foti's been quiet over the last while, hanging back off the field just a little bit. There's about 15 cars or so ahead of him, but he is still in the 10th position. Leighton Norgard, Joe Francis, Gerald Campbell, and Dave Carpenter all up there. Dave Carpenter with an opportunity still to advance in the playoffs, so don't sleep on Dave Carpenter now. That do-good team, if he does have some help in the field, will still be fairly strong towards the end. I do believe Dustin Dewar as well as Michael Goodman are both still running, but heavily damaged, unfortunately. As we look further back here, Josh Adams still helping Jake Adams a bit further back there. Michael Hossack on the racetrack, and I do believe that's about it. So 23 cars on the racetrack at this point. 24 laps to go in this race. Guys, why don't we go ahead and since we are 24 to go, we've cut the field down a fair bit. Let's make a race pick at this point, which is something that Alex Ned tends to enjoy doing in the Cup side. And we'll go ahead and start with Chris Wright here. Who's your pick to take the victory out of the guy still running at this point?
Well, my car is still out here. David Carpenter is still running at the front in this lead draft, at the very back of it. But I'm going to go ahead and bring you in on a little something that I have just learned. I just spoke with the driver. Not going to name that driver, but this driver just told me the reason we have seen this racing go single file all of a sudden is these cars are really close on fuel here to the end.
So this is the driver that he's talking about right now, the 40 of Tyler Foti.
I do not have any communication with Tyler Foti right now.
Okay, I guess I'm wrong.
I gotta say that. I have to put that out there.
But that's actually a great point. I didn't actually realize that they all fell to the inside line. I think we're coming up on some green flag pit stops here.
No, I think everybody's saving fuel.
I was gonna say that
They were all about 5 laps short or so when they got the green, and they seen it soon enough to get in line, slow their pace down, try to save. Now, whoever's leading this race, I mean, some of these guys at the front of this line might not have gotten that memo. I think
I'm going to say the likes of Tyler Pop, Harrison Talon, Ethan Burrell did not get that memo, because these guys have been pushing really hard.
I think Johnny Thomas might be the first guy who's really caught on and started saving here the last 5 or 8 laps. And everybody Johnny Thomas back, staying in line and running like this, they are all what we would call a knower. They know the situation, and I believe everybody up in front of them has not paid attention to their fuel numbers. And I think at this point it's too late. If you haven't already been saving, you're not going to save 5 laps
100%.
of fuel in 20 laps.
You also have to time your move right once you get the right amount of fuel. I learned at IRSS, you run off, if you go to the front with a very close number, you're going to run out very quick.
Absolutely. The draft definitely plays a big part in your fuel saving and fuel consumption, so that's something to keep an eye on. But Chris, back to it. Who's your pick to take the victory here with 21 laps to go?
Man, I was hoping to get by without making a pick right there. I gave
you're not getting by, buddy.
Knowledge that you didn't even know.
You just fed us some data there, and you just fed us some data. But I want you to feed us a race pick.
A race pick? Well, I'm gonna. I don't know. I don't know who it's gonna be. I don't know what the fuel numbers are looking like. I don't know.
Who do you want to see win then?
Who do I want to see win?
Yeah, who do you think has a good shot to win this thing, and who would you love to see win?
I'd like to see Goody or Dewar or win that thing, you know. That's who I would want to see win, but at 40 seconds behind the leader, I just don't think that's feasible.
Well, why don't you go a little bit connected to them? Dave Carpenter, he's still up there with the lead pack.
So I guess if I had to pick someone...
You do.
I'm going to pick Josh Robin. I believe that he has started saving fuel.
In the number 8 machine.
Tyler Foti has started saving fuel.
If Foti didn't, he'll just steal somebody else's fuel to be able to make it to the end here. So Josh Robin, Chris Wright's pick for the victory here. Brett Jones, who you got, buddy?
I know I randomly generate pick up there to start the race. A late no drop there in 12th, but I want to pay close attention to the guy in 11th. He's been sneaky all night. I think he's a dark horse at this point of the race. I think Garrison Hogan, our 500 winner from this season, might just pull it off here.
I'm not going to go too far from these guys. A couple spots ahead of Garrison Hogan and Josh Robin. We do find my pick for the victory tonight. That is Johnny Thomas in the number 91 Belly Up Sports Machine. Johnny, one of the best super speedway racers I've ever raced with out here. Very smart when it comes to fuel saving. Very smart when it comes to making his moves for victory. And I think Johnny Thomas has a good shot tonight. Obviously won the Erska opener last week. Of course, race number 2 in that series coming up tonight over on Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. So check that out. Cheer on a couple guys here. Chris, are you racing that series?
What series is that?
The Erska series?
I am not racing in Erska, but I am on the pit box.
That's right, for Nick Massey. Keep Nick Massey out of trouble tonight. See if he can pick himself up a victory.
We had a great strategy last week. Everything worked out. He was going to have a shot to get that dub, and right as he took the lead, some contact happened, and he ended up getting churned and caught up in an accident. So we're moved on from Daytona, though. It's time to go somewhere where skill matters, and I think Nick Massey is one of the best drivers on the sim, so I'd bet him to win anytime, any place.
Yeah, Nick Massey. Nick is one of the most respectful drivers out there. You know, he's not always the flashy guy that's going to be dominating a race, but he always finds himself in a good position when it comes to the end of it. So I keep saying so a lot tonight, but Nick Massey, very strong, and I wish him the best of luck over there tonight. And he can have luck tomorrow night too. I'm not in that race, or Wednesday night. I'm not in that race for some reason. So we'll.
Yeah, I think it had something to do with Sonoma. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, you know, Sonoma, there was some dirt on the racetrack there.
It was great content that I believe the broadcast missed out on.
The broadcast did not miss out on that. I actually had an interview before it happened too. So
that's great. It was great content going back and looking at it. You know, Chad still got a good finish. He didn't end his race, so it was interesting. You know, I didn't have a chance to see it. I was racing my hind end off there that night. Sonoma's a wicked hard place to run. And
Sonoma's a beast.
So I was doing all I could do to race for. I think I ended up 13th, 15th, right in there somewhere, 11th, 10th to 15th somewhere. And it was right down to the wire there for that spot, racing like my playoffs depended on it. And I think they do. You know, like I know we got these three races in each round, but when you go to a road course and you're not one of the guys who typically is able to win, and I am by no means a guy that can go out and win at a road course in elite. So just fighting hard. You know, I raced harder there than I probably will the next two races as we go to Legacy Atlanta and then Talladega next week, and that's going to be a crapshoot. There ain't going to be no racing really hard at Talladega and fighting to stay on the track. It's just going to be a total mental game next week at Dega. But Legacy Atlanta should be very interesting in the next gen car. I don't know if we have a setup, if it's going to be a custom built setup. It's going to be something very unique on Wednesday night, so make sure you tune back in on Wednesday night and check it out and see how it goes there. It's a great track. Legacy Atlanta's a great track before they went in and ruined it by making it a super speedway style race. I don't know what SMI was thinking there, but they went and messed up Texas. They went and messed up Atlanta, 2 great mile and a halves that they practically killed, in my opinion.
Chris Wright letting it be known here that he's not too pleased with what SMI did there. I do want to give a shout out here to the car that's just ahead of Mark Rebilas here. That's Dave Huckleberry sponsored number 84 Machine of Y Canado. Shout out to Dave Huckleberry for all that he does here at Elite Racing Network. Of course, helps with a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't really notice, but Dave Huckleberry definitely a huge part of Elite and the Elite Racing Network, and nice to see a couple of cars carrying his logo tonight. Another one is Tyler Foti. We're going to zoom in here in just a moment, see if we can grab some shots of that Hux logo on that number 40. Bit of a pain to get some shots of his car here, but there it is on the left rear quarter panel and on the deck lid. Dave Huckleberry's Hux on board that number 40 machine alongside Blue Egg Marketing. So again, shout out to Dave Huckleberry. 13 to go, guys. Tyler Pop, Ethan Burrell, Harrison Talon, Jesse Rasmus, and Scott Crump, the top 5 here. A couple guys up here, I know if they were able to sneak home the victory tonight, they would be absolutely ecstatic. Tyler Pop looking for a victory. Harrison Talon, I think it's been years since he won. Jesse Rasmus has never won. Ethan Burrell, he wins a lot, so he can let one of those guys by and let them take the victory here.
It's going to be really interesting seeing this fuel mileage play out here. I am very curious to see what happened.
You still see the likes of Josh Robin, Matthew Weeks, even Johnny Thomas and Ethan Stanley there saving fuel at this point. We are 12 laps remaining. As we continue to watch the field do some laps here at Talladega, then the JD's Hilltop Salvage 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. Here comes the outside. Oh, we see somebody sneaking off to the inside. Scott Crump getting a little wobbly there. It's Harrison Talon looking for an opportunity to reclaim the race lead. He's got no help now as David Tooker decides that he's had enough of helping out Harrison. Harrison going to fall back, hopefully get some help from his fueled up teammate in Wyatt Canadal here. But it'll be very interesting to see if anyone decides to hop up ahead of Harrison Talon. Maybe David Tooker moves back up to the high side to try to help his teammate out. He does not, so Harrison all alone on the high side. This could be really unfortunate for Harrison. He's going to fall back through the field here. Ethan Burrell chasing down Tyler Pop.
I don't think Harrison's going to fall back as far as you think. Everybody's trying to save fuel.
Yeah,
look at the gap between Josh Robin and Matthew Weeks.
Harry's not
Josh Robin and Tyler Foti right now, they are.
Oh, Harrison actually gets in line in fourth. David Tooker backs up a little bit, gives Harrison a hole on the bottom. I have to wonder if Harrison has enough fuel at this point, because Chris, you said that they were about 5 laps short on the restart. Harrison Talon and Tyler Pop have spent a lot of time up at the front here, as has Ethan Burrell, and I really wonder if they do have enough gas to make it to the end. I don't think that they do, but that's going to be something to watch here.
It's going to be really interesting what happens and how this plays out. I think, in my heart of hearts, Josh Robin is the
what
first
else would it
guy
be? A heart of kneecaps?
I think Josh Robin is the first guy that can make it right now.
Matthew Weeks is kind of held back a little bit too, as has Johnny Thomas.
Yeah,
though.
I think Johnny and Matthew are going to be pretty close, but they've stayed tighter to this draft where I've seen Josh Robin keep leaving gaps and trying to roll out.
So
I think Josh Robin went back in this line. They have made the most fuel.
You have to remember as well that you could stay with the pack and be about a third of the throttle as well. You could be a quarter to a third of the throttle, still stay with the pack and save some fuel. If you're saving 5 laps of fuel, that is a lot.
Yeah, they had to make this an economy run, and I think that they are. I think that.
But if you're close on fuel, are you not thinking about going down already? Or are you just kind of holding out, hoping for a caution?
I can tell you this, mum's the word out here in this lobby. There ain't nobody said nothing about pit stops.
Ain't nobody saying anything about anything out there, as we're coming up on a bunch of lap cars here. 5 or 6 of them up ahead of our race leaders. So we'll see what happens here. We're riding on the roof cam of Tyler Pop. So we do see 5 lap cars up ahead.
I am getting word that the 40 machine is good to go.
Tyler Foti back here looking pretty good to make it to the end. Currently running in the 10th spot.
Now, I did not get that directly from Tyler Foti, but...
There we see Josh Adams, Jake Adams, Dustin Dorr, Michael Hossack, and Michael Goodman all going a lap down here. So 15 cars left on the lead lap after the leaders clear Michael Goodman here in just a moment. 8 laps remaining. This race has flown on by, and we haven't had a chance to go to another commercial break, so we won't at this point. But I'll give a shout out to JD's Hilltop Salvage. James Dorr is Goodrich's scrap metal authority with over 50 years of experience in an ever-changing industry. JD is the guy you want to call to get rid of your old junk. From washing machines that no longer work to decommissioned Boeing 747s and Talladega junk cars, set on top of the beautiful Goodrich Hill, JD's Hilltop Salvage is your go-to place with no job being too big or too small. TA Services is a premier partner here at the Elite Racing League. For over 36 years, TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider, offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing, and fulfillment, as well as cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. Let the TA Services team make ship happen. Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses. Small business owners, Blue Egg is your biggest fan. And of course, Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And Rebilas Photography, the proud sponsor of the Rebilas Photo Grand National Series here. Be sure to check out RebilasPhoto.com for all your photography needs, as David Tooker absolutely sends his car to the bottom ahead of Scott Crump there.
Got the thing, got the numbers. It's going to start becoming go time very quickly here.
It is absolutely about to be go time here. Brent Jones, Tyler Pop, Ethan Burrell, Jesse Rasmus, Harrison Talon up ahead. Then we have a couple lap cars. Then we find Scott Crump, who's about to be trapped on the inside.
Right, here we go, boys. Pit stops are going to happen this lap.
Ooh.
This is
Let's watch
late.
Ethan Burrell.
Ethan Burrell going to come down. I guarantee Harrison Talon's going to come with him, as will David Tucker and probably Tyler Pop at this point, as Jesse Rasmus. I'm not sure if he's indicating that he's coming down, but we will keep an eye on this. That's the wrong end of pit road. Here they come down pit road. Not Tyler Pop, but Ethan Burrell going to come down. Oh, that's a big gaggle of cars coming to pit road. Harrison Talon with a nice jump over Ethan Burrell, but that won't matter too much if the rest of the field can make it on fuel. Tyler Pop up there by himself. Here comes Joe Francis to the outside with help from Gerald Campbell.
Do you see the Adams brothers just work together to get Jake back out in front of this lead group
Yep.
right now?
Yeah, Jake Adams currently back on the lead lap, just barely over Joe Francis. Forget that now. Here comes Joe Francis on the outside with help from Gerald Campbell. That is Tyler Pop stuck in the middle. This is going to get interesting here because there is a wide variety of cars and scenarios here. Gerald gets stuck on the high side. Joe drops in front of Tyler Pop here. Is he going to try to drop to the bottom? There's Tyler Pop to the bottom. Now Joe Francis in the middle. He has Johnny Thomas behind him. That's a good pusher to have. There's Tyler Pop popping off the racetrack down to pit road. Joe Francis up ahead with Johnny Thomas. Falls in front of Jake Adams and Josh Adams here. There's Gerald Campbell with help from David Carpenter on the high side. Dave Carpenter working his way back up into the picture. Josh Robin there as well as Tyler Foti. This is going to be interesting here, guys, just to see what happens. Scott Crump and Ethan Stanley, of course, still up in the mix, stuck on the bottom line. Joe Francis leading. We're coming to 3 laps to go, and the barbecue chip boy out front.
It's going to be very interesting. I think we've still got more people to pit that are in this lead group.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do still see a wreck here, guys.
I would not either.
Yeah.
As we come around, watching, nobody peeling off here.
I think these guys, me, are going to be really close, or are saved enough to fight for this win here.
Oh, Scott Crump coming through the middle.
Going to force his way up through the middle here.
Here he comes, Scrumpy coming up through the middle, coming to Gerald Campbell's rear end here. 3 laps to go, looking for an opportunity to work his way up to victory lane. Gerald Campbell up on the outside of Johnny Thomas and Jacob Adams here. Gerald Campbell with Scott Crump, Dave Carpenter, Josh Robin, and Tyler Foti on the outside. On the inside is Joe Francis, Johnny Thomas, and then you have the Adams brothers there working their way up through the field. This is one heck of a party up here at the front of the JD's Hilltop Salvage 200. Joe Francis coming around. It'll be 2 laps to go this time. Will the entire field that's still up here stay out? Here come the Adams brothers down to pit road. That will put an end to Jake's chances at the lucky dog for the most part, as 2 laps remaining. Joe Francis up front. Johnny Thomas, Scott Crump, Gerald Campbell on the outside. Dave Carpenter drops down to the inside now with Ethan Stanley just behind him. Gerald looks to the bottom. Down he goes as we see Josh Robin and Tyler Foti trying to work their way up on the high side. Up front, Joe Francis, Johnny Thomas, Scott Crump, Gerald Campbell, and Dave Carpenter. Here's Josh Robin working his way up into the top 5. Gerald jumps back to the high side. He's going to have Robin up on the rear end of him, pushing Gerald Campbell. See if the aggressive Soup Man can work his way up to the front. It's not Campbell's, it's aggression as we come around to 1 lap to go. Gerald Campbell looking for an opportunity to steal the lead from Joe Francis. Gerald Campbell up to 2nd, now to the right rear quarter panel of Joe Francis. White flag about to be in the air here. White flag in the air with Barney the Flagman as the field comes on by. Gerald Campbell scored as your race leader. Johnny Thomas shuffled out.
Johnny Thomas has ran out of gas.
Johnny Thomas is out. Gerald Campbell to the bottom. Josh Robin up top with help from Tyler Foti. Here comes Garrison Hogan looking to the outside. He has Ethan Stanley behind him. Gerald Campbell, I don't believe, has a strong enough push behind. Here is Tyler Foti. Garrison Hogan pushing Josh Robin here up on the outside. Gerald Campbell, Scott Crump looking 3 wide. In the middle, a little bit loose there. Tyler Foti. Here comes Gerald Campbell again.
Oh, he's working both sides.
Gerald Campbell going to have to get up and maybe give a nudge to Josh Robin to get him out of the way here. Gerald Campbell
Coming
right
to the checkered
behind
flag.
Josh Robin. Robin leading to the checkered flag here, but anything can still happen as it looks to be Josh Robin taking the victory very close over Tyler Foti and Gerald Campbell. What a podium. What a race, guys. Strategy
Robin
played a
raced
big
way
part. Yeah, Josh Robin did what he had to do, went from the last car in the playoffs to making it to the next round. He may actually enter round number 2 as the top seed, as RC Anderson took victories in both of the other rounds in round number 1. So that'll be interesting to pay attention to as well, as Josh Robin may have just set him up very well for round number 2. But Josh Robin victorious today. Top 10 tonight. Josh Robin, Tyler Foti, Gerald Campbell, Joe Francis, Garrison Hogan, the top 5. Scott Crump, Dave Carpenter, hell of a job by Dave Carpenter, Ethan Stanley, Leighton Norgard, and Harrison Talon, the top 10.
I believe I said with about 10 to go that Robin and Foti were the 2 guys I seen save the most fuel, and when it came time to go, those were the 2 guys who could move to the top and go really, really hard there at the end.
Budweiser car winning Talladega. Where have we seen this one before?
Looking back outside the top 10, Tyler Pop, Matthew Weeks, Ethan Burrell, Jesse Rasmus, and Johnny Thomas finishing up the lead lap cars there in the top 15. Mark Rebilas, Michael Goodman, David Tooker just outside as you see the rest of the field scrolling on past. As we work to get our podium finishers up into the booth, we're going to take a commercial break here, and when we come back, we'll talk to the top 3 finishers.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here at Talladega Superspeedway in the JD's Hilltop Salvage 200 here tonight. Josh Robin did the unthinkable, entered tonight's race as the last playoff driver and ended up finishing in the top position on the podium. Looks like as of right now, we only have one driver standing by for a post-race interview, but we're going to go ahead and bring up Gerald Campbell, our third place finisher, for an interview with Chris and Brent.
Joined now by Gerald Campbell. Gerald, I got to talk to you a little bit before the race. You sounded excited about it being Dega. We get out there, have a couple big wrecks early. So we kind of thought that was setting the tone for the night, and then you ended up being a little fuel mileage race there. So take us through your night and how you dodged those wrecks, and then at the end, how you managed to save fuel better than some other guys. We saw some guys have to pit, and some guys run out there on that last lap.
Luckily, me and my teammates, a lot of the guys that were running up at the front there at the end, Joe Francis, David Carpenter, we pitted actually with one more lap. I think a lot of people were not expecting it that close at that point in time, or were not paying attention. We pitted with one lap to go before green, and so we had about a lap extra to work with. And then we just held out at the end, and then we made a race to the front before everyone else was, I guess you would say, ready, because they still had to save a little bit. So we got up to the front, and it was at the end, it was just everyone trying hard to push, and some guys not being able to push as hard because they had to still save a little bit. But I think I missed out just by probably a couple points. I think David Carpenter got me by 1 point there to get the 9th position to lock himself in. So missed out on making it through to the next round, I do believe. But overall, happy to be able to talk to you guys. I haven't talked to you other than whenever I'm in the booth broadcasting. So happy to be able to join you guys here tonight and get to talk a little bit.
Now, what led to you not blocking there down off of turn 2 when Robin was coming? Did your line just lose a lot of momentum? I felt like Johnny Thomas running out of fuel there right behind you guys in that line kind of hurt your line down there through 1 and 2. Is that what happened?
I mean, you make two decisions there. Obviously, yeah, Johnny running out made Joe lose the back bumper to me, and with these, that was something that was pretty common here. If you didn't have someone pushing behind the guy pushing you, they would drop back a little bit, and that's what kind of dropped us there. And as soon as we started losing the momentum, I knew as soon as I jumped to the outside, I've seen it way too many times. I've been doing this for too long to know that wasn't going to work if I try to jump in front of of the 8 there. Yeah, Josh Robin there at the end. Nothing against Josh Robin, anybody. I mean, even me at that situation, if someone jumped up in front of me on the last lap, I'm not checking up. I don't expect them to check up. So I know if I would have made that move, it would have probably been lights out for me, and I would have absolutely no shot. So I was just hoping that they were going to still have to try to save a little bit, maybe not be able to push as hard there at the end. And me and Joe, who knew that we were good on fuel, that we could push really hard, we're going to try to make a strong run. I knew Joe behind me was going to have my back there at the end, but they had enough, and that's all it really counted to. So I just didn't want to cause another wreck like I did in the beginning of the race. So I just wanted to try to have one of those races at the end where actually, whenever you take the photo for Twitter, it actually has a full field of cars rather than one guy crossing the finish line. So just wanted to, just have a race out at the end. I didn't want to take nobody out.
Now, when you're out here in this pack at the end, are you aware of everybody's point situation? Are you trying to count points? Foti's good. And Josh Robin, obviously, he had to win. If he finished second, he was not going to make the next round. He came in some 36 points, 37 below the cut. So were you aware of that as those laps winded down?
At the end, I knew Robin, like I said, with him winning, him and Dave finishing 1 point and Robin winning actually knocked me out. And I kind of keep a little bit of a tabs there at the end. I didn't know everybody's situation or anything. I knew how far back out I was, and I knew a win or darn near close to a win was about my only shot. And, with that wreck taking out a few of the drivers that were up there, not by any choice of my own. There was a checkup on that outside, and I didn't react quick enough. It was not me trying to cause some carnage to try to point my way in by any means. But I knew a few of those drivers were obviously not capable of gaining any points tonight. And I knew a shot was in the making of making it on points. But with Robin winning it and being behind me, there's only 2 guys behind me in points. So I was like, only 2 guys I had to worry about. Of course, one of them goes out and wins, but that's racing. That's what makes it so exciting for these playoffs. I've been the winner of these Talladega events that get you in, and I've been the loser on some sides. Now I'm the loser, so I'll just take it and be happy that I even get to have a top 3 to be disappointed about.
Well, congrats on the top 3 there, Gerald. It was great seeing you run up front here. It's always fun to root for somebody else that's a broadcaster here for ERN, so congrats on that. We'll wait and see how these points get tallied up, because we know there are some changes that are coming with some people, with one driver who went back out and gained some spots when he was well past 6 laps down, so we'll see how that all tallies out. So good luck. We'll see you next week in Charlotte, and I will send it over to Brent, see if Brent has anything for you.
Alrighty, pleasure talking to you there, Gerald. Been a while, my good friend. First of all, when we go back to that lap 2 wreck, I'm sure that played in your head, in your mindset there. What went down there exactly?
It just was a surprise that, I was already coming up trying to get that outside lane going. So I was trying to help that outside lane, which as the third driver, all you can really do to help is to stay right on the back bumper. So I was in the process of trying to try to get to the back bumper of the second place guy on that outside lane. And it just was a bad circumstance. He got into the guy in front of him. They checked up big time because the leader of the outside lane got really sideways. And I absolutely had no time to check up. I already was coming with a run to get up to him. And when they checked up that badly, as soon as I touched him, he went to that outside wall. And my biggest thing was just trying to avoid the carnage from there. And I got a little bit of damage from it. And I feel bad for him, but I think it's just a circumstance of just kind of trying to get the outside going. I guess aggression's there, trying to get it going on the outside, but it was not intentional by no means. It was just a circumstance of maybe drivers starting to learn early on in the event. I think later on in the event, I don't think anyone would have made a mistake at that point anywhere in that top of the high lane there, where we wouldn't have had that checkup because we would have been more familiar with the car. So maybe just a little bit early race jitters kind of on my end caused a bigger problem than it should have been.
Alrighty, that's yeah. Any shout sponsors, people you want to shout real quick before we?
Yeah, always. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Broadcasters, what makes this thing happen. It shows off everyone's talents. Without this, I mean, we're just racing and telling our family members after the race. This gives us a chance to be able to showcase it to people and go back and fondly remember it later on. So I definitely highlight all the wins that I win to go back when I'm feeling down about myself to watch a couple of my victories to feel a little bit better. So broadcasting is always important. So you guys do a good job. And like to thank Aggressive Eagle, all my teammates, and our teamed partnership with Goodies team is always fun to join them. We always have the most fun in the lobby more than anybody. Even if we're running in the back, we're having fun.
I can confirm that. I have spent a few races in there with y'all, and it's an absolute blast to be in there and shoot around with you guys while the race is going on.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate guys. If anything else, I got another race to jump into, but I will go back and watch it and critique you guys later on if you want.
Best of luck to you later on tonight, Gerald.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
So, guys, just before we get to our second and third place interviews here tonight, as of right now, the second round of playoffs is Josh Adams, Scott Crump, John Cutlip, Tyler Foti, Garrison Hogan, Josh Robin, Ethan Stanley, David Tooker, and Matthew Weeks. There was a tie between Cutlip and Carpenter, with Cutlip getting the tiebreaker based off best finish. But there is a challenge on the results of tonight's race due to violation of the 100% rule on the 40 car of Tyler Foti. There's been reports that he did not maintain full throttle on the remaining laps in the race, allowing Josh Robin to take the victory there. So that is under challenge. We'll wait and see what happens there. But as of right now, we do have Tyler Foti standing by for an interview with Chris Wright and Brent Jones.
All right, joining us now is Tyler Foti. Tyler, it was a solid run. You guys controlled the majority of that first half of the race, and then we noticed that there was some lining up and some single file racing and people starting to try to save fuel. So take us through your night, what it was like being out front and controlling it there with your teammate and my teammate Josh Robin, and then what led to the decision to save fuel. Obviously it was the right one, as some guys pitted, some guys chose to stay out there and run out of gas, and it ultimately worked out for the 1-2 finish there for Lake Norman.
Yeah, it was pretty much a perfect race, which is kind of a little lucky, honestly, because it's super hard to try and manage these things. But yeah, we were looking good, just controlling everything the first 2/3 of the race, and got the yellow when we did. And then coming out of the pits, was talking with Josh, and it was looking like we were going to be about 2 laps short. The whole field was. So plan was to kind of go the first 10 laps or so of that 40-lap run, and then just slowly kind of work our way back and save pretty much. And there was a few guys that I think were aware of that from the get-go, who were hanging back there too, and the rest were just kind of going and realized kind of too late. yeah, then the rest of it was just really kind of trying to set ourselves up there to stay hooked together. And I mean, we were cutting it so close. Robin, I think, was only a half lap to the good. I was 0.2 to the good. And yeah, I mean, it was like 2 laps to go, less than 2 laps to go. We started going 100% because we kind of got hung out there on the top. And I don't know if guys were running out or what, but we got a killer run and almost got us both cleared going into 3 there. Robin got down, and then he came back up and was blocking me, and I almost lost it. Stepped out on me a little bit, but yeah, I was able to hold on to it and just hammer down all the way to the end, and was pretty close there, but it was just awesome to be able to get another 1-2 at a place like this, so super pumped.
Yeah, and you mentioned right there how Robin came back up and blocked you, and it forced you to have to make a decision there about what was going to happen there and not wrecking the field. There has been a challenge, apparently, that people are saying 100% rule, and they're looking at your last lap there, but would you like to address that any further? I mean, we can go back and look on the replay. It just looks like you got blocked, in my opinion, and chose not to wreck the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I got all the telemetry and stuff. We just, naturally, you're going to have a bunch of haters, but
Tyler out here trying to steal positions.
It was either stay in it and wreck Robin in front of the whole field, or cut him a break there as he was coming up. But I mean, he realized pretty quick and got back down to his line, and from there we were all the way rolling. So it is what it is. People can say what they want, but we got the result. So
now I do question the fact that you were even going to push, Josh Robin to the win, like a lot of people have said and thought there. It looks to me like going into 3, you thought about diving underneath him, and you just weren't quite clear of Gerald, and the 8 kind of reacted to that and then tried to come back up, and you could see the 1 lift off of you as well. The 1 could see what was going on there and recognize what's happening. So was there any thought about trying to take that lead down into 3?
Not into 3. It's maybe if it's Daytona, but Dega is such a long run there. If you start messing with the lines and getting checked up going into the corner, odds are you're going to be really hurting on the way out on the run to the line. But yeah, it was all we were all kind of stacking up. I just almost got clear, but I also had Garrison all over me, so I was kind of mirror driving to make sure I wasn't going to get hooked or off center with him. But yeah, if anything, I was going to be waiting until the tri-oval at least, but by then we had already kind of established both lines and we're just drag racing there.
Well, all right. Solid run for you tonight, Foti. Solid run, obviously, for the team. Josh Robin advancing in the playoffs, winning and getting in, and we'll adjust that more there when we get a chance to talk to Josh here in a minute. But I will send it over to Brent and see if he has anything for you.
Still haven't missed one yet.
Hey, Brent, I tell you, I thought this was going to be the hardest one to get it done, and we came out on top again. So 3 for 3.
Actually, it's 4 for 4 now, actually.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
But hey, when you saw all the carnage happen in that race, was there a change in mentality, or was it just just business as usual tonight?
Sorry, I cut out there for a minute. What was that?
When all that carnage started at the beginning of that race, was there a change in mentality, or just business as usual for you for a while?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't at the time really know how many people got taken out, but it looked like from like 5th on back, everyone just disappeared in the mirror. So kind of had an idea. A lot of people were involved in that, but the track position was kind of there from the beginning, and the mentality, was just to kind of maintain that and just try and keep the top 5 at least for most of that, stay ahead of the trouble.
Yeah, I was making comparisons to like the first big one, the 2005 RC12 there for a while. I have never seen a wreck that big that early in the
Yeah.
that Dega ever.
Me neither.
Anyone you want to shout out? I know we got one premium spot leagues partner right on the screen right now as we speak.
Yeah, I can't see the screen unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, teammate obviously Josh Robin had to win to get in to the next round, and he got it done. So huge props to him. Definitely my favorite super speedway partner. We've always worked well together, and it was even sweeter to be 1-2 there. So huge props to him. Blue Egg Marketing, obviously, for being on the car. Hux, Pit Pass Network, KMP Graphics. You guys, hopefully we keep this trend going here all the way to the end, like I've been saying, Brent. That'll be pretty awesome if we can do that. But yeah, shout out to you guys, and we'll hopefully keep this momentum rolling into the rest of the season.
Now, wait a minute here. You just said Josh Robin is your favorite Super Speedway partner.
Yeah,
Kind of offended.
yeah. Well, it is what it is.
Josh Robin gets
I
wins,
guess
Chris.
I'll have to wreck you one more time at one of these races, I guess, next week.
Oh man, maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Well, congratulations, Foti, on a runner-up finish and a big team victory tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That was Tyler Foti, our second place finisher tonight. Of course, results unofficial, but from what I've seen, I'm not going to comment because part of the admin team, so gotta stay impartial there. As now we bring,
I'll comment enough.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, we'll wait until after Robin. We can
Yeah,
go back
we'll
and
bring
find it on
Josh
the replay
Robin in,
too.
and we'll hear some excitement.
That's your homework.
'Cause
here
you know
while
what?
we're doing the interview is finding the footage of that last.
No matter what here, Josh Robin's your victor tonight, so let's go ahead and bring him in now for an interview with Brent and Chris.
All right, we are now joined by Josh Robin, also known as Tyler Foti's favorite drafting partner. I guess we'll have to put that in the bag for next week. But Josh, it was a great run for you tonight. You and Tyler controlled the race. Then you went back and saved some fuel, and you ended up getting a win there on the last lap. Great push from Tyler Foti. You guys raced it out down there and side by side with Gerald in the middle. Got your first win here of the season. We thought you might get your first win of the season just a few weeks back at Daytona. I believe that was in the Cup car, and that didn't come to fruition for reasons that we won't get into tonight. But take us through your race here tonight and what it feels like to be that far below the cut line and win and get in.
Well, actually, I did win the season at Daytona, the season opener.
Oh, I'm sorry, Josh.
No, it's all good.
See, I'm a teammate. I should know that. See,
right?
Don't help me next week. That's how you can return the favor.
But yeah, this race was pretty good. Me and Foti controlled it pretty well early in the race. I was managing my temps really good there, pushing Foti, and I don't know. Everybody was close on field. Some guys had to pit there at the last few laps, and like the last 30 or so laps we were saving, me and Foti, and every lap we were just checking our fuel at the line, how much we were good, and with like I don't know, through 1 and 2 with 2 to go, that's when we just hit it full throttle, and then everybody just went to the bottom and left the top open. I was like, all right, this is easy, I got this. And then I pushed Gerald, I think, out front. Then he went to the bottom again, and then it's easy. That was a big mistake by Gerald going to the bottom. Just saying, but yeah. And then Foti was pushing really good, and man, it was really close on feel for Foti for sure. I was like half a lap to the good, 0.5, and I don't know, man. It's pretty awesome. I made it to the next round, which is good. But yeah, I'd say it's redemption after like 2 weeks ago in the Cup Series at Daytona. After that baloney.
So take me back to this lap going into 3. It looked like you and Foti were hooked up on the top. Foti started looking like he was going to go to the bottom. Were you just watching your mirror and said, "No, you're not going to pass me here"? Going into 3, went to the bottom, and then you came back up and you threw a nifty little block on him and made him make a decision on getting into the back of you or lifting, and he chose to lift and try to build a run back coming out of the tri-oval. Ultimately, he couldn't get there.
Right. Yeah. So actually, yeah, when I got clear of Gerald on the bottom, we were like, I was asking Fodi's like, "Are you clear? Are you clear?" Because I was gonna wait for him to get clear, so we both moved to the bottom, but I don't think he got clear just enough. So I went down right away, and I thought he was gonna get a big push from Garrison. So I was like, "Oh, I better get up there." But then I, kind of hesitated, and I just cut back down, and Gerald had a run, so which was good, a smart move to get back to the bottom. And yeah, it was man, I was shaking that last lap. Not gonna lie, I was really nervous.
Well, you moved on to the next round. Now you got 3 more tracks to look at moving to. We're moving out of Talladega and into Charlotte, Wilkesboro, and Darlington. What are your I'm not sure how the points are going to reset and what that's going to look like, but I'm guessing you were so far below the cut line here, you'll probably be pretty far below it again here. Do you think
As
you can
of
win one
right
these next
now,
two?
Josh is fourth, entering round number 2, 18 points back of points leader Tyler Foti.
Oh, there you go. So fourth, that's in the
Not bad. That's good.
that's above the cut line, right? New
That's
world.
pretty darn good. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I like those tracks too for the next round. Charlotte, in the Coke 600, whatever we did in the Cup Series, I ran pretty well, I'd say. But yeah, I should be good there. Charlotte and the B car, Wilkesboro, I might need some practice there. Then Darlington, I like that track.
Well, all right. Congrats on the win tonight. It was great to sit up here and watch a couple teammates win this thing. Hopefully we can keep the run going here on Wednesday when we go to Atlanta. Then we're off to Talladega next week for you to get redemption in the Cup car from what
Oh,
happened in
that's
Daytona.
right.
But I will send it over to Brent and see what Brent has for you.
Hey, fitting a Budweiser 8 car wins at Dega.
That's right.
At any point during the race, especially when we got closer to the end, what did the must-win scenario start playing your head a bit more and more, like, or do you just put it behind your head like there? Because I know that has a lot of pressure in this race tonight for you.
You know, going into this race, I knew it was going to be a must-win. So I mean, I'd say it was on my mind like the whole race. I mean, I didn't really worry about it too much, but honestly, this is like I love plate racing. It's my type of racing I love, and I don't know, I feel pretty confident every time we go to a plate track, and I know I run top 5, 10 all race at these tracks. So it's all about just avoiding wrecks and being there like in the top 5, 10 in the last laps, and we did it.
Indeed, so that was a very clutch performance right there, probably in a very unusual race right there. Oh, you guys, shouts, people you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, shout out to Lake Norman Motorsports and all my teammates. Fody did a great job, and all you guys for broadcasting and everybody that raced. Fun race.
And cheers to that.
Well, congratulations on the victory tonight, Josh, and best of luck in round number 2.
Thank you.
So just before we do get to the replay of the final lap here from Tyler Foti's onboard, which is under protest, I just want to tell you guys how close it was to advance to round number 2. There was a tie between Dave Carpenter and John Cutlip for the last playoff spot. John Cutlip did get it based off of the tiebreaker being the top finish in the round. Just 1 point behind Carpenter and Cutlip, we had a tie again for Jacob Adams and Gerald Campbell. So within 1 point, we had 4 drivers that could have advanced to the final playoff spot. That's incredible. In my eyes, just shows the racing that we have here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. But now coming up on the screen here, we're going to go on board with Tyler Foti just to show you the last lap. I don't know how much we can really get from this because we don't have the necessary telemetry, but we'll give it a go anyways and just see if we can get anything from this.
I would say we would be better from the chase view because we'll be able to see the flame shoot at the tailpipe when the block is thrown down there. We won't see that from the onboard shot.
So the word is that there was a couple blips involved on the final lap. So here we go. We are following along. White flag's going to be in the air this time.
Yeah, and this is a lot to happen. We're going to get to break down the last lap. You can see Gerald gets the push to the lead, and this is where Johnny runs out of fuel. So right here, I think if Gerald knows Johnny's out of fuel, Gerald stays at the top. But when he moves down, there's no help behind the 35 here. So all that momentum is going with the top line. Now the 35 is going to get some help, but it's Scott Crump trying to look in the middle, so that doesn't really help the lane. And now all of a sudden you got 3 cars lined up really tight on the top, and this is where I think Foti was actually making a play here, maybe to try to take the lead. And the 8 throws the block, and then right here he's going to throw a block, and you see he lifts right there.
So you can see slightly right here from what I'm seeing. Now again, we don't have the 100% view here. It kind of looks like I just missed it. Let's back up a little bit further.
Yeah, and that's just the 8 throwing a block. The 8 actually went up and
the
threw
8
a
clears
block.
back down, and right here it kind of looks like Foti gets off the throttle to stack up the outside lane, which I think is what the argument is. Because that little blip there, maybe another blip there, but that could just be Foti trying to back up to Garrison Hogan's bumper as well, which plays a big part in the super speedway racing.
Yeah, right here, Foti's got a big push.
To be fair, Chris, I can see both sides of the argument. Of course, people are always going to argue a finish, if especially in the playoffs. But from Foti's situation, I think he was just trying to back up to the bumper of Garrison. The first one was him lifting off the throttle a little bit so he didn't wreck Josh Robin. Last thing you want to do,
to the top there a little bit. He started looking
100%,
three, and then he was like, "Oh, this
100%.
guy behind me is not going to follow me three." So I got to
last
stay in the
thing you
middle.
want to do is wreck your teammate that is just about to make it into the playoffs. Of course, you want to go for the victory yourself, but last thing you want to do is wreck a teammate, especially when that victory is the only thing that can help him advance. So I think that's why Foti backed off a little bit there in 3 and 4. And then off of 4, I think he blipped the throttle a little bit to try to back his car up to Garrison Hogan's nose to get a better push towards the finish line. So I don't think the 100% rule really comes into play here. Of course, that's up to the admin team to decide. But that's just my point of view of that incident. I don't know, Brent, did you have another opinion on this?
I think it's about the same as you guys. I'm seeing him lifting to not wreck his teammate, and then I see him back up, try to go for the win. I see nothing wrong with what happened there. As much as people are going to say otherwise, I just think that's just a last lap plate racing type deals right there.
Yeah, and I people are going to say I'm biased because they're my teammates in it, but I just don't think that Foti would give up. Foti's the type of guy, we've seen how he races at the end. He is not going to let somebody else win, even if it's a teammate. That's not Foti's style. Foti wants to win every race. Foti's going to drive 100%. Now, he was helping his teammate, but you got to help your teammates at Daytona and Talladega, so yeah, they work together. But I think starting into 3, Foti was thinking about sizing him up for a pass. And I think if Foti was at all thinking, I'm just going to try to finish second and let him win, Gerald had room until about halfway through the trial or so. Gerald could have pulled out and went in the middle 3. Like, Foti was running up the track, getting pushed, knowing that he needed the push to be able to pass the 8. And Gerald finally did get in the middle there coming out of the trial. So I think if Foti was looking to just try to win Robin that race, he's going to run right down against Gerald Campbell and make sure Gerald has to stay right in there behind him. And that was not the case. I just don't see anything there that even remotely suggests any kind of race manipulation there at the end.
100%. I definitely, again, we'll leave it up to the admin team to decide, but that's our opinion from the booth up here. But just before we call it a night, any final thoughts from you, Chris or Brent?
Just a chaotic night. Just glad that we saw some good racing there once we got the wrecks out of the way. That was pretty entertaining to watch it all play out regardless of what happened there at the end.
Yeah, it was a great race. We saw a lot of wrecks early. Hated to see that for some playoff guys. That really shook that playoff stuff this week. So it definitely changed who advanced and who didn't. And we went and had another wreck there shortly after, and we ended up with a fuel mileage race at the end with some guys pitting, some guys running out. Hated to see that for Johnny Thomas. He's a great guy, one of the nicest people here on the sim. So hate to see him lose his good finish there at the end. But it was a great race. Great finish with the last lap pass. Had a bunch of different things going on there at the end, and can't wait till next week when we get to start the next round at Charlotte.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, guys. Great race all around. A lot of early incidents, that unfortunately set a couple guys back, took a couple guys out, but the race that we ended up with was pretty darn solid, and we're going to move ahead next week to Charlotte Motor Speedway for race number 1 of the second round of playoffs here. 100 laps on the 2018 version of Charlotte Motor Speedway, so that should be a good one. But next race here on the Elite Racing Network will be Wednesday night in the JoinAPS.com Cup Series when we head to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, 163 laps. It'll be myself and Alex Nett on the call for that one, so be sure to join us for that race right here on the Elite Racing Network. But of course, before we get going tonight, have to thank not Join APS, but thanks Join APS for sponsoring our Cup Series, Rebilas Photography for sponsoring the Grand National Series, Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, as well as Worldwide Technology Raceway, and of course JD's Hilltop Salvage for sponsoring tonight's race and numerous races all season long. Shout out to Chad Frankfield and the admin team, Dave Huckleberry, as well as Chris Wright and Brent Jones. My name is Robert Hill Jr., and this has been another production of the Elite Racing Network. Have a good night, everybody.
Cheers.